The Kamala Harris campaign were trying to buy votes, but it seemingly got a lot worse after that. So the Kamala Harris campaign is currently in debt of $20 million after receiving a total of $1.5 billion to run the campaign. Now, of course, guys, that's a lot of money to run a campaign. I didn't even think you needed that much, but I guess you do. And when you have that much money, you have somebody called the FEC, Federal Election Commission, watching over everything you spend. So for anything you spend on during the campaign using donations, you have to have a receipt for it. Whether it's a pen to a new computer, a new printer, or whatever it is, you have to have a receipt for it, and the receipts have to be collected, and then they have to be submitted to the FEC down the line, whenever that is. That is normally, they normally do it throughout the entire campaign, and then at the end of the campaign as well. Whatever else they need to submit, they submit to the FEC. That being said, somehow with $1.5 billion, Kamala Harris is now in debt $20 million, which might go up a little more over the course of the next couple of weeks, or whatever it is. Now, the election ended November 5th on election day, so it doesn't end there. There are a couple of days after where they're probably going to wind up spending the donations, the campaign donations, on wherever else they need to seal up or pay off whatever it is. Maybe a plane ride back, maybe, car rides back to homes or whatever it is. So that's going to be in the next couple of weeks. They're going to have the final tally of what everybody spent on the election. But currently, right now, Kamala Harris is $20 million in debt. It could go higher, it could be lower until they figure it out. Now, Trump, he spent well under what his donations were. So if I'm not mistaken, it was something like a little over $1 billion, and he spent a little less than $1 billion. I think he had $60 million in play from the election. But again, he's not in trouble because he knows how to manage his money. The Kamala Harris campaign clearly didn't know how to manage the money. And keep in mind, guys, this is the lady the left and Democrats wanted to run the country. To fix our finances, they want a lady who wasn't even financially responsible with her campaign. She was going to be in charge of the United States and try to fix our financial issues. Wasn't going to happen. Anyway, Kamala Harris now is, of course, her campaign is being looked at a little closer now, because how do you get that much money? Now, granted, a lot of that money came from Biden. When Kamala Harris said, "I'm running for president," Biden's money that he gathered up for his campaign was now transferred over to her. So, of course, she said, "Here I am. I'm your first black, going to be soon president." And all of these people flooded her with all this money, and she went from whatever he gave her to $1 billion, over $1 billion, actually. And then she went from over $1 billion to $20 million in debt. Whatever. Now, of course, guys, the left is, they're like, well, this is why it happened. Nobody wants to hear excuses. Just come up with a receipt and pay it off. This lunacy that people are making excuses for her are insane. In fact, the Kamala Harris campaign is still asking for money. What are we, 2 weeks after the election? They're asking for money. You couldn't manage the money you had. You paid off celebrities, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. And again, with the celebrity payoff, because there's no proof, there are ways to pay off celebrities without there being any proof that you paid them off. Because you can take that money, and we're going to talk about it in a little bit. But anyway, with that being said, guys, a lot of the money that was being spent, which I thought was okay, which was like jets. She rented jets, and it came out to about $12 million from the duration of the campaign, about $12 million in jet rental, which I didn't think was a big to-do. So they went to this hotel, and they wound up spending for one night over $600,000. So, and again, I guess that's room service and the best rooms that they could rent, they could rent out for the night, which had to be like a luxury suite. Not to mention, every person in her campaign also needs a room. But I'm wondering how many people got top-tier rooms, and then the lower-level rooms, or did they rent out the whole hotel to get it at $600,000? On top of room service and everything else that comes along with it, that's what they probably paid for as well. I don't know if that's mismanaging. I mean, that sounded kind of right. If you have your entire staff with you and you're putting them up in hotels, I guess. I don't know. But needless to say, it doesn't sound right to a lot of the people who are bringing up the point that why is she $20 million in debt? I'm not a financial guru at all. I'm actually bad with money. But when someone gives you $1 billion, how do you make yourself $20 million in debt? Or the campaign $20 million in debt? Now, as far as the celebrities go, there are rumors that she paid off celebrities. There's no real proof other than Oprah right now. It's the only proof where she was paid to go on Oprah's show and have Oprah interview her. That was the craziest shit. Like, you thought the Oprah, like Harpo Industry or whatever it was, would have been like, hey, Kamala Harris, can you come on my show and we'll interview you and we'll even pay you or donate to your campaign? No, it was the other way around. So it was rumored to be $1.2 million at first, and now it's turning out that, in fact, it was $2.6 million paid to Harpo Industries. So not Oprah herself, but her entertainment company got paid to interview Kamala Harris, which was weird. Now, here's the list of other people who were rumored to be paid because there's no proof on it. Beyonce, $10 million. Eminem, $1.8 million. Usher, undisclosed. Lady Gaga, undisclosed. Cardi B, undisclosed. Lizzo, the fat bitch, $3 million. And Megan Thee Stallion, $5 million. Now, again, the reason why there's no proof on this is because they probably paid him in cash. They do have cash on hand. If I'm not mistaken, cash on hand could be anywhere upwards of $30 million to $65 million or above. So that's cash on hand. Somebody's walking around with that shit, which is fucking crazy to me. But nonetheless, they can pay these people off in cash and put it under miscellaneous. It's probably why there was no proof that they were paid. Because you can pay a lot of people in cash, as we do waitresses and waiters, and there's no proof we ever gave them a tip because we gave them cash. So it works along the same lines. That's why people are like, gee, there's no proof they didn't. Of course, if you paid them $2 million in cash or $1.8 million in cash, you really can't fucking prove it. They could come up with a receipt and say it was miscellaneous, or they bought some computers or whatever it is. They can definitely write off whatever they want on a written receipt and not so much a Zelle transfer or an instant bank transfer where that's a big proof of it. So if you just write a receipt, you give Eminem 1.8, but then on a receipt you wrote new computers, they're not going to know the difference. And they're probably not going to ask to see the computers. So again, she's currently asking for donations for her campaign, I guess to close the gap of the $20 million maybe, or I don't know if it's going to be more in the next couple of weeks. It probably will. It most likely will. But as of right now, currently stands, she's $20 million in debt. Trump, I heard, offered to pay the $20 million to put her in the black. And she said no, which was a power move on Trump and arrogance on Harris. But again, if I was Harris and Trump was my enemy, I wouldn't take anything from him either. So, that being said, guys, this is just pretty interesting. This is going to get even more interesting as the weeks go by. But keep in mind, she couldn't even manage her campaign. And granted, people are going to make excuses for her why she's in debt. She couldn't manage her campaign. She couldn't manage her campaign financially, even though that is not her job. That's the campaign manager's job. This is the lady people wanted to run the country. Somebody who had to pay celebrities to go on the stage and speak for her and or interview her. Because if these celebrities honestly thought and were genuine about her, she wouldn't have to pay any of them. They would have went on stage and spoke from the heart. Like Cardi B with her stupid phone and trying to pronounce the words they gave her, which are too big. Kamala Harris, yeah, lady. That was the most embarrassing shit I've ever seen. Nonetheless, if these people were all about her and truly believed in her, they would have did it for free and it would have came from the heart. Anyway, guys, other than that, this is the Angry Prepper. Thank you for watching the Angry Truth channel.